friends, the Ram Man here. Wanted to talk to you about basic factory disc brake setups and the kit and or the kits that we sell. Wanted to give some information for the general public about this factory stuff, shed some light on disc brake kits and some general knowledge to begin with. Richard Ehrenberg, a long time ago, a couple decades ago, wrote the article Discotech. It was the first article describing basically how to steal the components from an A body and such, describing spindles, caliper brackets, calipers, and the such. Forever, the basic swap to put disc brakes on a Mopar, basically from about 1962 up, this can be done. It's a factory swap, it's a bolt-on swap, it doesn't alter the geometry at all, and it consists of all factory components. Like I said, forever the swap for disc brakes on our cars has been to go steal some A-body stuff. Specifically, the A-body stuff bolts on from 1973 through 1976. One of the reasons we often specified 1976 is because in the few previous years the caliper pistons were 2.6 diameter in the early years, and then in 1976 on they used the 2.75s. The 2.75 pistons were used on all other cars starting with 69 C bodies and going up from there. Once again, that is the swap for us. Of course, the wrecking yards and everything's depleted. If you do find it, it's used and quality is questionable. Basically, what we did with some partners and some investors a while back is we reproduced the 1976 A-body components, starting from the spindle out. Our kit, as you can see, it includes every single piece except for the rotors. Once again, it includes every single piece to do your conversion. If you're missing a piece, you've lost it. I've always been real big on 100%, starting from the seals out. There's no other kit in the world that includes it. From the brake hoses, the seals, the bearings, the nuts, the cotter pins, every single thing. The splash sheet, here's the pads. We have never offered rotors in our straight factory disc brake kit. The reason being is all the rotors available out there on the market, whether it comes from the Right Stuff, Master Power Brakes, any of these internet people, eBay and all that stuff, most of the components are, we'll say, fair. One of the biggest drawback is the rotors. There's some vendors over in China, they all compete for the market stuff. Those are the ones that are producing these cheap rotors. And that's why you see some of these manufacturers and distributors, Master Power Brakes, the Right Stuff, they'll tell you in italics or on the phone or a cautionary statement in print or on the web, hey, we don't know if your factory wheels will fit. The reason that they don't know is because these assemblers over in China are assembling these cheap kits, and they're getting these rotors from these different vendors, and they're all out of different tolerances, and they're all different quality control. So literally the people here in the States, they really don't know what they're getting until they open the box. So therefore, anyway, some decent folks have been making rotors for this stuff since 1976. Once again, this stuff is factory A-body components. 1973 to 1976, rotors will fit. Specifically, the year is 1976. The only reason that it makes it 1976 is because, once again, we went to the bigger piston calipers in 1976. This system right here was designed to run on the front. The calipers are mounted on the front. That's the way Mopar disc brake systems were designed in late '69 on the C bodies and the '70 B&E bodies up. Before 1970, of course, all of the calipers were mounted in the rear, and the sway bar components on the A bodies and the B bodies and such, they were mounted on the front and stuff, and that's one of the reasons the calipers were mounted towards the rear. But like I said, this later design mounts them in the front. Now, if you have some sway bar problems or some interference problems, Mopar did design this slider kit for some rear calipers just a couple years. So if you want to run the calipers on the rear with factory components and not some jury rig stuff with some hoses and flipping sides of the spindles and having all that Mickey Mouse problem, I can supply you with factory rear mount calipers for $150. And those are designed to be mounted on the rear, and if you have a sway bar or any type of other problem, you won't have any problems at all. This kit is designed on the slider type design. These calipers right here, they slide on these machine ways. Chrysler 1970, late 69, 70, 71, and 72, Chrysler used these caliper brackets. These are called the pin style caliper brackets, often called the floating style caliper brackets, and this system was designed for a pin type caliper right here. In 1973, Chrysler on all car models went to this sliding design. It's very simple. It was cost effective. They're already having the budget crunch of the late 70s. You remember the gas embargo and the big cars, and they were looking for ways to save money, but an effective system. Of course, this slider design was used by Chrysler and others for a while. Now, these original designs were designed around a 11-inch rotor. These are 11-inch rotor. These are 11-inch standard rotor. Like I said, you can walk into any auto parts on the planet Earth and say, I need rotors for a 1976 Duster. And you're going to get rotors that have been manufactured by the tens of thousands. They're going to be balanced. They're going to be trued. And they're going to fit your wheels. You can take it to the bank. Napa's not going to sell you a rotor that doesn't fit. You can take that to the bank. Ram Man's not going to sell you something that doesn't fit either. So here's our base kit designed for 11-inch rotors. Like I said, it includes everything. If you want to go to rear mount calipers, that's an option. If you want to go to the larger rotors, the 1175s, they're only 3/4 of an inch larger, but it is on the outside diameter, and it gives a lot bigger surface area, and of course a lot more weight and mass, and that's really what we're looking for in a rotor. The more mass it has, the more kinetic energy it can soak up and turn to thermal energy, more heavy stops you can make. It's all in the mass of the rotor and the clamping force of the caliper.